Welcome back to English from A to Z, English in real life. Today, we're jumping right into those moments, you know the ones, those little situations that can make your heart just pound and your mind go totally, completely blank.
Oh, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You run into someone you just met a few days ago. You're having a pretty good chat, and then, boom, it hits you. You have absolutely no clue what their name is. It's that awful sinking feeling in your stomach, isn't it?
Okay, so let's get into it. Instead of just talking about it, let's actually pull apart a real-life conversation to see exactly how this whole thing plays out. Yeah, it's a little awkward, but honestly, seeing it happen is the absolute best way to learn how to deal with it yourself.
All right, so picture this. Our guy, Nick, bumps into Anna. He met her at a conference just last week. They're chatting, everything's fine, and then Anna asks this. And right here, this is the moment of truth. Nick has a choice. Does he try to fake it, or does he just admit he's forgotten? He goes for honesty. And I want you to notice how he starts this. He doesn't just blurt out, "I forgot your name." No, he leads with this amazing phrase, "You know what? This is really embarrassing." That little opener immediately tells Anna that he feels bad about it, and it just softens the whole situation. And there it is, the magic phrase, "Your name has just slipped my mind." It sounds so much more natural and polite than just saying, "I forgot." It can happen to anyone. I mean, I once forgot my own uncle's name at a family reunion. Seriously, I had to pull my cousin aside and whisper, "Hey, who's that guy over there?" Talk about embarrassing. So trust me on this one. This phrase is a lifesaver. So how do you handle these moments? Well, you need what I like to call a conversational first aid kit. When you find yourself in a tricky spot, you can just reach into this kit, pull out the perfect phrase, and smooth everything right over. So let's really break down that first one. Slipped my mind. Think about it. It suggests the forgetting was totally an accident. It was temporary. Like the name just kind of slid out of your brain for a second. It's way less direct and just sounds better in a real conversation.
And this is what's so great about this phrase. It's super versatile. You can use it for pretty much anything you've forgotten, not just names. You forgot to reply to an email? It just slipped my mind. You forgot a friend's birthday? Oh man, it completely slipped my mind. It's the perfect all-purpose excuse.
Now, another really smart thing Nick did was he created a quick way to leave. He used the phrase, "in a bit of a hurry." This is your go-to phrase when you need to end a conversation politely without coming across as rude. It's like a polite escape hatch. And this works pretty much anywhere. Whether you're on the phone, in a car, or at the office, it sends a clear signal that your time is short and you gotta go. It's direct, but it's still very, very polite.
And finally, let's look at how Anna handled it. She says, "Don't worry about it. I'm terrible with names too." Now, this is a brilliant way to make someone feel better. The phrase "terrible with" is something we use all the time to admit that, yeah, we're not so great at something.
Honestly, this phrase is like a social superpower. Are you bad with names, numbers, following directions? You can use this phrase for all of them. It instantly creates this little connection because you're sharing a small, totally relatable weakness. It's a fantastic way to show a little empathy. Okay, so having a first aid kit of phrases is absolutely essential for fixing problems on the spot. But how do we build the skills so we can avoid those problems in the first place? Well, this brings us to a much bigger idea, the real secret to fluency. Because here's the deal. Just memorizing a bunch of phrases is only half the battle. If you really truly want to become fluent and feel confident, you have to stop translating in your head. You have to start thinking in English. And the best way to do that is by building a simple daily habit. This right here is the core idea, and it is so powerful. The best material for you to practice with isn't in some boring textbook. It's your own life. You are the #1 expert on your day. You know what you did, how you felt, what you ate for lunch. Just by describing your day, you are practicing real, useful English that actually matters to you.
So let's do it. Let's build that story together, step by step. We're going to walk through a typical day, and I'm going to give you the exact building blocks you need to start describing your own life in English.
Let's start with the morning. Just think about your own routine for a second. It's built on simple actions, right? Like these: waking up, stretching, checking your phone. These are the basic words, the verbs, that are going to build the story of your day. And here's how you can take those simple words and actually weave them into a narrative. You're not just listing off actions anymore. You're telling the story of your morning. It suddenly becomes personal, and that makes it so much easier to remember. All right, next up, the afternoon. This is often the busiest part of the day for a lot of us. The actions might change, but the idea is exactly the same. You're still doing things like checking emails, having meetings, maybe taking a quick coffee break. These are the building blocks for the middle part of your story. See how this works? You start with a basic action like check emails, and then you just add the details. You create a story. I write a to-do list. I take a short break. Hey, you can even build your English study time right into the story of your day. And finally, we get to the evening. This is kind of like the last act in the movie of your day. The words here are all about winding down, coming home, cooking dinner, and just relaxing before you head to bed. And just like that, you've done it, a complete story, from the moment you wake up to the moment you go to bed. By practicing this simple little narrative every single day, even just for a couple of minutes, you are building the foundation of real, genuine fluency. So, what's the big takeaway from all this? Well, this daily practice does something incredibly important. It completely shifts your mindset. You stop seeing English as just another subject you have to study, like history or math. This is the ultimate goal. When you start to describe your day, your thoughts, your feelings in English, you're actually weaving the language into the fabric of your life. It becomes a tool that you use, not just a bunch of rules you have to memorize. You are truly, finally starting to live in English. And that really brings us to the end. The real key here is to just start. Start now. You've got the tools, you've got the vocabulary. So just take a moment, think about it, and try to answer this one simple question in English. What did you do today?